Welcome to the Mclaren Speedtail, and today we're gonna touch. This is one of 106 made, but actually there were a couple extra, including this one, and that's because this is an XP car. An XP car means it's one of the experimental prototypes for the Speedtail program. So this car had a bunch of miles put on it to kind of test and make sure that this was something that actually would work out. This being XP10, it is the last Speedtail off the line. Really special car. Now I'm gonna kind of break this video up into a couple little different topics, but let's start with aero. So you can see from the front of the car, there is pretty minimal ways for air to get around here. It's very sleek. You have these little inlets right here that channel air around the car. You have the wheel discs right here, which can come off, but when you have air coming across the side of the car like that, generally the wheel is going to be making turbulent air. Now you don't want that turbulent air messing up all the way down the side of the car when you're going 250 miles an hour. So you have these wheel discs, and that's going to make sure it's nice and smooth across the side. You'll see the shut lines are as thin as possible on the car. You'll note no side view mirrors too. We'll get to that later. This roof scoop was optional on the car, feeds in air here and goes down to the engine. And you'll see the tail end of it is incredibly long. The reason behind that is we use a design technique called biomimicry. Biomimicry means what works in nature is probably going to work for whatever you're trying to accomplish if it's the same kind of idea. So Speedtail is kind of shaped like a teardrop. So a water droplet falling from the sky has a larger front and a thinner back. So with this thinner back, you have this enormous diffuser down here, which, by the way, let's get into some of the details here. Yes, that is gold. And yes, that is also gold. And in the paint, all that right there, that is gold. It's gold flake in the paint. It's called black gold. Really amazing. And then a little homage to the McLaren F1. That's gold in there too. All right, enough about aero. Let's get to the next topic and talk about the power this makes. So I mentioned the roof scoop, and that's going to be going down to the 4-liter twin-turbo V8, kind of a derivative of what was used in the 720S. That engine now in this car makes 757 horsepower and 590 foot-pound of torque just on the motor alone. Factor in the e-motor. That e-motor makes 312 horsepower. Combined, it's 1,036 horsepower and 848 foot-pound of torque. Absolutely immense. The battery is 4 times as dense as the P1, so you can tell battery technology has come quite a way, and at that point when this car was made, it was actually the most power-dense battery of all time. So we know battery tech kind of moves on relatively quickly, but that is immense. So that means this car goes 250 miles an hour, and the P1, for reference, 0 to 186 miles per hour in 16.8 seconds. This car did it in 12 and a half. I say that again, 16.8 for the P1 and 12 and a half seconds to 186 miles an hour for this car. Unreal. Another little detail before I get to the front trunk. This badge is 24 karat gold, and the carbon fiber there is TPT carbon, which means that it is layers of carbon fiber that is then shaved down very thinly to give it this effect. Pretty incredible. But let's get to the front trunk. So on the key, Speedtail key, you have your lock, unlock, and then you have this little Speedtail down here. You can see on the wheels, there's actually little nubbins there. So there's a dot in the back, dot in the front. Press and hold. And then inside here, you have your front trunk, all outlined in carbon fiber. Little ventilations there. I love the details you see under here once you open up this hood. All this little latticed carbon fiber work to let air through. You have a little button right here, opens up, And then here you have a fire extinguisher, and also we have our little pigtail just to charge the 12-volt system. Close that back up. Here's where you would find the tool set. That is not in here, of course, just in case. That will be with it once it is sold for, by the way, I feel like I need to mention the price. $3.75 million. Quite a car. Now for the rear trunk. Back here, while you have the wheels on either side and the diffuser on either side, in the back you actually have a good amount of space. So here is the roadside bag, first aid kit, the car cover. You actually have a lot of space down here. It's kind of hard to tell in this video, but it's easily probably 3 feet deep. Fit a serious bag in here, and that is why it is a Hyper GT. Put this stuff back in. Another neat detail. So here you see these little cutouts here on either side. There's one on here too. It's because that is the ailerons. So kind of more technology derived from airplanes, where if you look very carefully here, I'm not going to lift it up much, but it actually lifts up and bends. So right here, this carbon fiber piece bends and acts as a little bit of a spoiler that'll come up. Hydraulically actuated. Both of them come up at the same time. So if you need a little more downforce, that is where you'll get it. Let's open this thing up though. Double click. Check it out. Tell me that's not cool. So here's where you see those side view cameras. No mirrors for aero, and when you put it in velocity mode, these actually tuck away just for a little less drag. But often I get asked, how do you get into a Speedtail? Easy way, put your hand down on the side sill, 1 foot in, sit on the side seat, get your other foot in, and then slowly do the shuffle into the driver's seat. Once you're in here, you realize how much of a cockpit it is more than really a car. You have buttons up top where this is how you control the doors, windows, and everything's pretty symmetrical. You'll see everything looks the same on either side, but they have different functions. So let's go over a couple little buttons before we get into it. You have your trunks, 2 right here, the lock right here, lights right here, parking brake, emergency flashers, parking sensors. This is if you are going to be towing the car and locking it. You can press that and the alarm won't go off. A little bit of storage in here. Press and click and open. Looks like you have a little bit of phone storage there, so it's not just rolling around when you're inside the car. And then over here, same thing, but you have a USB-C and a USB-A right there to plug your phone in. You actually have a little bit of compartments here as well. This opens up, nice carbon fiber, and it goes way back there as well. Good storage back there. This little magnetic clasp sits right there, and you have another one right here. So, starting the car. Press your foot on the brake. Actually, you know what? Let's just get accessories on first so you can kind of see what it looks like just from the outset. On. Once you put your foot onto the brake, you can hear some clicking. It's getting ready. Fuel pump's priming. Ignition. It's very concerned about tire pressures. Don't worry about that light. But this is it. So up here you have drive, neutral, reverse, and your active modes. This is something that you'd have in other McLarens as well. And you can tell it's in sport mode for both of these. So when I press active, exhaust tone changes. Just like that. Media controls, your phone, home button here. You can change the colors of things with the ambiance, which I of course really like. Here you have roof opaque and roof transparent. You've probably noticed, actually let's close these doors down. I want to show you the electrochromic glass. Just a wall of carbon fiber in here. As if you're sitting as the passenger, it's a really cool view. But you'll see here, you have all the electrochromic glass. If I press roof transparent, if I press roof transparent, if I was functioning, it goes clear. And then you can also pick which one. So if I want just the windshield, it goes dark there. If I want just this little porthole on the roof, right there, goes dark. And the sides right like that. It's pretty amazing. And that is starting a Speedtail. So here, I'm gonna turn it off and hop out. That doesn't get old. Sitting in the passenger seat too. Whoa. You slink in behind the driver. It's kind of neat. You can whisper in their ear as they're driving. But it's definitely a cozying space. Ugh. And that's that. That is the Mclaren Speedtail, and this is the last one off the line. So if you want something pretty special for your collection, I'd say this is it. If you have any other questions, let me know. Hope you enjoyed.